Imagine you're stranded out in the middle of this freezing storm-tossed ocean.
Yeah.
Like your ship has completely gone down.
Oh, terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. You're treading water, your muscles are just cramping up, and finally, a rescue chopper hovers overhead and drops a lifeline.
Right.
In that split second, do you, like, look up at the rescue swimmer and demand they address you by your formal job title before you grab on?
I mean, I would hope not.
Right. You
Oh.
expect them to, hand you a warm towel and a glass of champagne as they haul you up, or do you just grab the rope with absolutely everything you have?
You just grab the rope. I mean, in that terrifying, clarifying moment, you realize you are, well, utterly powerless.
Yeah.
Your survival depends 100% on the person operating that winch. There's just no room for ego or negotiation or pride in a rescue operation. You're a victim and you are being saved.
But the wild thing is, when it comes to our spiritual lives or, how we fundamentally view our place in ultimate reality, we somehow forget that dynamic entirely.
We really do.
We try to bring our ego and our demands and our imaginary VIP status right into the rescue chopper. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are exploring a really profound and surprisingly practical philosophical framework about human consciousness, the mechanics of the ego, and basically the underlying fabric of reality itself.
Yeah, we're breaking down a highly specific, ancient spiritual mechanism to see how it applies directly to the way you, the listener, navigate your daily life, like your anxieties, your deepest attachments.
Exactly.
And we're doing this by looking at a fascinating breakdown of a Buddhist ritual. We're drawing from a recent recording featuring consultant Benny and Venerable Ivy, a seeker of Buddhist teachings.
And that's out in Australia, right?
Yes, produced by Buddhist Practice Incorporated Australia, with production handled by Notebook Ram and Dawn.
What I love about this specific exploration is that consultant Benny and Venerable Ivy focus strictly on the original black text of an ancient manuscript. It's by National Master Zongfeng, called the Thrice Yearning.
San Shi Xinyan. Yeah.
Right. And they strip away centuries of later commentary, the stuff usually printed in blue ink, to just get straight to the unfiltered source code of this philosophy.
Which is so refreshing.
It is. They treat it almost like spiritual physics.
Yeah.
But before we can understand the actual practice of the thrice yearning, we really have to understand the destination it's aiming for. Because the realm it describes completely defies the rules of our known universe.
It really does. The destination is known as the Pure Land, or the Western Paradise. And the physical description of this realm is just striking in its absolute lack of friction.
Like zero friction.
Zero. It's adorned with 7 precious jewels. The very earth you walk on, the trees, the architecture, everything is constructed from radiant, glowing gems. There's no dust. The environment regulates itself perfectly, so the plants don't require watering or tending.
And the ultimate detail for me, honestly, is how sustenance and clothing work there.
Oh, the convenience of it?
Food and garments just appear the exact microsecond you desire them.
Yeah.
You don't cook, you don't tailor, you don't shop. And the second you're finished, they simply vanish.
It's amazing.
As someone who routinely stares at a sink full of dirty dishes with, absolute dread, this sounds like the ultimate paradise for anyone exhausted by daily maintenance.
I mean, it is the pinnacle of convenience. But we have to look at the underlying mechanics of why it operates that way.
Yeah.
This isn't just some fantasy about skipping chores.
Right.
It's a profound philosophical distinction between 2 totally different operating systems of reality. Our current world is built on the operating system of karma.
And karma is exhausting.
Exactly. Karma is a realm of strict cause and effect, inherently intertwined with suffering, decay, and massive amounts of friction. The Pure Land, on the other hand, operates on an entirely different system, pure merit.
I love looking at this through the lens of video game design, actually.
Well, that's a great way to frame it.
Think of our world, the karmic realm, as this incredibly gritty, hyper-realistic survival game.
Yeah.
You spawn into the world, and you have to grind for every single resource. You chop the wood, you mine the stone, you farm the wheat.
Very tedious.
Yeah. If you want a house, you build it plank by plank. If you make a mistake, you lose health points. Every single action demands a proportional expenditure of energy. You get exactly what your actions manifest. That is karma.
Right. The karmic world is purely reactive. If you want a specific outcome, you have to meticulously initiate the precise causes over a long period. Like if you want a beautiful singing voice, karmic logic dictates you have to spend lifetimes avoiding harsh speech and cultivating kindness.
Wow.
Yeah, the environment only yields what you forcefully extract from it.
But the Pure Land is like logging out of that grueling server and dropping into creative mode on a server where the admin has unlocked infinite resources. You want a jewel tree. It just exists. You want a meal. It manifests without a single chopped carrot or dirty pan. But the crucial catch, and I think this is where people get stuck, is that you cannot bring your survival mode points into creative mode.
No, you can't.
They're entirely incompatible currencies. The Pure Land requires a total purity of merit that we, grinding away in our survival game, just do not possess.
We can't buy our way in with karmic currency. In the realm of pure merit, the environment responds instantaneously and effortlessly to pure intention, completely without the friction of cause and effect.
So the massive philosophical hurdle becomes, if we're trapped in this grueling survival mode, accumulating all this messy karmic baggage, how do we actually cross over into a realm of effortless merit?
And here's where we get hit with a hilarious but brutal reality check from the source text. Because it turns out our biggest obstacle to crossing over isn't a lack of trying or a lack of good deeds.
It's us.
Yes, it's our massive, inflated human ego. When discussing the concept of transcendence, specifically the idea of being led or received into the Pure Land by a higher power, we run into a severe modern psychological block. We inherently imagine this transition like a VIP stepping off a private jet.
Totally. We picture a red carpet rolling out, a celestial welcoming committee politely handing us a lanyard, congratulating us on all the meditation retreats we attended and the green smoothies we drank.
Exactly. We desperately want to be the protagonist. We want to be the hero of our own spiritual journey, finally cashing in our cosmic loyalty points for the ultimate upgrade.
Right.
But consultant Benny and the framework here make it brutally clear. Being led to the Pure Land is not a VIP reception. It is functionally identical to being a helpless person trapped at the absolute bottom of a dark, muddy pit, getting hauled out by the scruff of your neck by a rescuer.
Okay, hold on. I really struggle with this part, and I imagine you listening right now probably do too.
It's tough to hear.
If we are completely helpless victims in a pit, having to just wait to be yanked out by the collar, doesn't that negate our agency entirely? I mean,
Yeah.
we spend our lives trying to be better people, working on our flaws, building discipline.
Right,
If none of that builds the ladder to climb out,
right.
it makes all our self-improvement look kind of pointless. It feels incredibly harsh to say we have zero power here.
It feels harsh because it attacks the very core of what drives the modern psyche, which is the illusion of control. What you're describing, the desire to build your own ladder, to earn your salvation through hard work, is what this philosophy calls the boss mentality.
The boss mentality.
Yeah. As long as you maintain that boss mentality, as long as you demand to be treated as an equal partner in your own rescue, you remain tethered to your ego. And your ego is the exact gravity that keeps you trapped in the survival game of karma.
So the ladder I'm building is actually made of the very weights keeping me at the bottom of the pit.
Precisely. True salvation in this specific framework requires absolute unconditional humility. You have to realize that no matter how many good deeds you do in survival mode, you cannot generate the pure merit required for creative mode.
Right.
Think of Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, a figure known for rescuing beings from the lowest hells. He doesn't send them a polite invitation to RSVP to their salvation.
Right. Please check yes or no.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He reaches down into the suffering and pulls them out. If you think you're co-managing that rescue operation, you fundamentally do not understand the depth of the pit you are in. Agency, in this context, isn't about climbing. It's about the conscious choice to surrender to the rescuer.
I see. So it's not that our actions don't matter. It's that we have to drop the delusion that we're the CEO of the universe negotiating a merger,
That's a great way to put it.
which introduces a very practical mechanical problem. If I accept that I'm stuck in the pit and I know I can't climb out on my own, how do I even signal the chopper? How do I ensure the lifeline actually connects with me? This brings us to the core mechanism of the entire thrice yearning practice, the concept of Shi Nian, or tethered mindfulness.
The etymology of Xinian reveals exactly how this signaling works. She translates to binding, tying, or fundamentally belonging to something. Nian refers to a mind that is entirely focused, unified, and free of scattered, mixed thoughts.
And the psychological analysis here in the recording is fascinating. Venerable Ivy and consultant Benny highlight how we modern people are terrified of the word belonging in this context.
Oh, absolutely terrified.
We love being loosely affiliated. We'll subscribe to an app, we'll join a community, but we always keep an exit strategy. We're so obsessed with independence that we instinctively recoil at the idea of submitting completely, even to a force that is actively trying to save us.
We want to keep our options open, but Xinyin requires a total, unambiguous binding of the self to the ultimate goal, in this case, the Buddha. To understand how difficult this is, we have to look at the mechanical analogy used to explain the practice.
Right, the scale.
Yes. Calling out or focusing on the Buddha isn't just reciting a mantra or speaking syllables into the air. It operates exactly like an ancient steelyard scale.
Okay, so for anyone who hasn't seen one, picture a long wooden rod. On one end, you hang the object you want to weigh. Then you have a counterweight that slides along the rod until the whole apparatus balances perfectly horizontally.
Right. And in this spiritual physics, the object you place on the scale is the Buddha, or the concept of ultimate reality. The sliding counterweight represents your mind.
Okay.
To achieve Xinyan, you have to slide your mind to the exact, precise point of perfect equilibrium, and then you must physically and mentally hold it there, unwavering. If your mind gets distracted, if you doubt, if you think about what's for dinner, you drop the weight. The rod dips. The weighing stops entirely, and the connection is severed.
The tether snaps.
Yeah.
And to understand why it's so hard to maintain that perfect balance, we just have to look at what our minds are normally tethered to on a daily basis.
Oh, the list is endless.
Think about someone who considers themselves a foodie to an extreme degree. They'll travel across the world, spend exorbitant amounts of money, endure immense stress just for a specific meal. In this framework, they literally belong to food.
Yeah.
Their mind's counterweight is permanently locked onto a plate of pasta. Now look at our own lives. We are tethered to the ping of our smartphone notifications. We're bound to our job titles, our bank balances, our political anxieties.
We aren't just holding one heavy weight. Our minds are fractured, bound by thousands of microscopic, incredibly fragile threads pulling us in every direction simultaneously.
Swapping out thousands of tangible daily dopamine hits for one absolute, unwavering devotion to an abstract concept requires an immense amount of cognitive rewiring.
It really does.
You're effectively trying to hack your own attention span.
And the reason this intense, singular tethering is an absolute necessity, not just like a nice meditative goal, is because of the physics of what happens at the end of life. The stakes during the final transition, the moment of rebirth, known as Wangsheng, are unimaginably high.
It's the ultimate final exam, and it is impossible to cram for it at the last second.
Impossible. During that transition state, your conscious control dissolves. You're no longer managing your image or directing your thoughts. Instead, your mind operates purely on spiritual gravity.
Spiritual gravity.
Yes. It will be violently pulled toward whatever ingrained obsession has the thickest tether. If you haven't established the heavy, stabilizing anchor of Xinyin, your consciousness will be scattered, swept away by the chaotic winds of your accumulated karmic habits.
And to illustrate how literal and mechanical this gravity is, the source material shares this brilliant, terrifyingly vivid example about how these transitions work.
The cat example.
The cat example.
Okay.
Okay, imagine a person who absolutely adores cats.
Right.
They spend their entire life obsessing over them, collecting cat merchandise, watching cat videos. Their strongest mental tether is feline.
Right.
When they hit that chaotic transition state between lives, their accumulated karma projects an illusion of a cat.
Because it's an automatic projection of their deepest affinity.
Exactly. The person's mind, stripped of rational filters and operating purely on instinct, sees the cat. They naturally reach out to hug it because that's what gave them comfort in life. They reach out, they wrap their arms around the cat's belly, and in that instantaneous moment of attachment, their reality collapses into that form.
Oh.
They are reborn as a cat. They literally hug themselves into a feline incarnation.
It is wild, but it demonstrates that the universe isn't sitting in a courtroom judging your morals. It is a cold, mechanical reaction to your attachments. Your mind flows into the mold it has habituated itself to fit.
Wow.
And this clarifies the very title of the text we're exploring, the thrice yearning. It's easy to assume the 3 periods refer to a daily schedule like practicing in the morning, afternoon, and night.
Which would make sense for a ritual, just a routine you follow to build the habit.
Sure, but the architecture of the practice is actually much deeper. The 3 periods represent 3 different capacities or psychological profiles of practitioners. It acknowledges that not everyone has the same level of focus.
Ah, I see.
The ritual operates as a highly customized safety net. It trains the minds of all types of people so that when the terrifying disorientation of death arrives, the mind doesn't panic and follow the physical pain of illness into a hellish state of anger. Nor does it get lured away by a comforting cosmic illusion of a cat.
Right.
The mind bypasses the chaos and follows its pre-established heavy tether straight to ultimate freedom.
It is essentially emergency protocol training for human consciousness.
Exactly.
But what elevates this entire philosophy from just being, morbid preparation for death is how it fundamentally transforms the way you exist right now on a random Tuesday.
Yes, the daily application.
The practice of balancing that steelyard scale doesn't just save you later. It turns your daily, mundane actions into what the framework beautifully describes as incense.
This introduces the concept of the five-part Dharma body incense. And it's a remarkable piece of psychological engineering because it strips away all the mystical vagueness we usually associate with spiritual growth. It presents a rigid, sequential mechanism for behavioral change, starting with the very foundation, knowledge and vision of liberation.
I really want to walk through this sequence slowly.
Yeah.
Because the causality here is just brilliant.
It begins with knowledge and vision. Now, this isn't abstract wisdom. It means possessing a hyper-accurate, unclouded understanding of cause and effect. You must clearly see exactly why a specific action causes suffering.
Like a visceral understanding.
Yes. Consider a very grounding medical reality understanding that compulsively overeating refined sugar leads to the systemic organ failure and pain of severe diabetes. When you have true knowledge and vision, you don't look at a donut and see a comforting treat. You look at it and vividly see the inevitable physiological suffering that follows.
You see the entire karmic barcode scanned all at once.
Exactly.
And because your vision is finally clear, the second step happens almost automatically. Liberation. You drop the donut.
Yeah.
You actually stop the destructive habit. You don't need willpower to resist a poison once you truly recognize it as poison.
The friction of temptation disappears. And only once you're liberated from that internal compulsion can you successfully engage the third part precepts or holding boundaries.
Which people usually do backwards.
Yes. People usually try to start with precepts. They try to force boundaries while still craving the destructive thing. That causes immense internal stress. But when preceded by liberation, holding boundaries actually calms the mind. You aren't fighting yourself anymore.
Wow.
That profound calmness organically creates the conditions for the fourth part, concentration, or samadhi.
And the analogy that Source uses to explain samadhi really grounds the concept in reality. It compares this state to a dedicated scientist. A scientist doesn't make a breakthrough by, casually glancing at a microscope while checking their phone.
Definitely not.
Right. They focus with agonizing intensity on a single microscopic variable for years. And because they hold that unwavering focus, that's samadhi, they eventually pierce through the surface level of reality and discover a cure or a new law of physics that no one else could see.
They unlock a deeper mechanism of the universe. And that breakthrough is the fifth and final part, wisdom. True wisdom only emerges from that sustained, unbroken concentration.
It's a complete chain reaction.
It is. And this entire five-step sequence explains why the result is metaphorically called incense. Without these five qualities, without clear vision, liberation, calm boundaries, focus, and wisdom, our daily actions are entirely driven by the reactive impulses of greed, anger, and ignorance. To use the framework's metaphor, our actions stink.
We have all experienced this in the real world. You walk into a room and someone is radiating such intense anxiety, jealousy, or unresolved anger that it physically pollutes the space.
Oh, yeah. You could feel it.
You could feel the tension in the air.
Yeah.
That is the toxic stench of a mind trapped in the karmic survival game, completely bound by its ego.
Their internal chaos inevitably causes friction and pain to everyone who interacts with them. However, when you embody the five-part Dharma body, when your actions are a sequential flow of clarity, discipline, and profound concentration, you give off a spiritual fragrance.
It's a completely different vibe.
Exactly. It manifests as an aura of deep, unshakable peace. Your very presence calms the people around you. They seek out your guidance not because you preach to them, but because they intuitively want to know how you remain so stable in a chaotic world.
It's the absolute gravitational pull of someone who is focused hard enough to hack their way out of the survival game. You stop being a reactive burden on your environment and become a stable beacon.
It is the ultimate shift from being a helpless victim of your own chaotic karma to becoming a living manifestation of pure merit.
What an incredibly dense, rewarding exploration of reality. We started by contrasting the grinding, reactive friction of our survival mode universe with the effortless, jeweled reality of the Pure Land.
Right?
We had to brutally confront our own VIP egos and realize that true spiritual rescue requires absolute surrender, allowing ourselves to be hauled out of the pit by our collars.
We examine the delicate, exhausting mental physics of Xinian. constantly balancing the mind's steelyard scale to maintain a perfect tether to ultimate reality.
We looked at the terrifying mechanical realities of the transition of death and the absolute necessity of not letting our subconscious hug the spiritual cat.
Beware the cat.
And finally, we saw how understanding cause and effect physically rewires our behavior, allowing us to cultivate the sweet fragrance of wisdom in our everyday lives through the 5-part Dharma body incense.
It is a cohesive, unyielding system that demands we entirely audit what we value, and most importantly, where we direct our attention.
So as we close out today's deep dive, I want you to critically examine your own mind. When you are exhausted after a long day, when you receive a stressful email, or when you are simply bored waiting in line, what does your mind automatically reach out to grab?
Is it the outrage of a social media feed?
Is it a petty grievance from 5 years ago? Is it the numbing comfort of a screen? Whatever your mind blindly grasps for in the dark, that is your current strongest tether.
And this framework forces us to confront a vital modern reality. If our ultimate destiny is determined by the strongest tether of our attention, we must recognize that we live in an era where massive technological algorithms are actively engineered to exploit those exact reflexes.
Wow, yeah.
They're synthesizing hundreds of artificial tethers every day, weaponizing our karmic gravity to keep us endlessly scrolling, endlessly reacting, and endlessly distracted.
If you aren't consciously sliding the weight on your own steelyard scale, something else is perfectly happy to balance the scale for you, tethering you to a reality you never actually chose. Something to think about the next time you find yourself blindly reaching out for comfort in the dark. Don't ask for the champagne. Just grab the right rope. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.